Hello and welcome to another episode of the Scouting Report. With me today is Phil. Thanks for joining me, Phil. Would you like to introduce yourself, your platform, and plug all your socials?
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you for having me on, Ben. So, my name is Philip Macbeth Seath, and I'm from the OK Football Show. Due to some various different disagreements between some of my colleagues, we used to be under the We Are Luton Town tag, but we're now the OK Football Show. So you can follow us on Twitter at OK Football Show, and also on our YouTube, which is the fastest growing Luton Town YouTube page. So give us a look.
Brilliant. Thanks ever so much. Just before I hit the famous intro video, you may have noticed Aaron's gone ham on the advertising for our nomination in the Football Contents Awards. So if you are watching, even if you have a Luton persuasion and you feel like giving us your vote, we would be very appreciative. In fact, I believe, even though I'm a bit of a Luddite, that if you scan that little code on the side there, it will take you directly to the vote where you can vote for green and whites from Argyle Life as your chosen winner in the Best Football League podcast vote. So if you would do that, if you haven't done it already, we'd be really grateful. Anyway, on with everyone's favourite bit. My apologies, Phil.
I thought that was mint. Yeah, I'll take that. I wouldn't want to have to watch it 500 times, but I thought it was decent.
That's the rub. That's the rub. Yeah, no, it's worth a giggle first time round, and then it sort of it wears. Let's put it that way. So started to turn it around, but a really stinking start to the season. I must apologise. It's probably all my fault because I predicted Luton to win the league. I thought that although you had a bit of a tough end to the Premier League season, the old cliche of you've assembled a good championship squad to come back down with was there was some truth to that. And I think holding on to Colton Morris and Elijah Adebayo had been their top quality championship strikers, in my opinion. You kept most of the squad. What did you lose? Barkley and Ogbene, was it, to Ipswich? But other than that, from the outside eyes, it seemed that you'd held most of a decent squad together with some savvy additions. Is that the way it felt, you think, within the club? What was the fan feeling about before the season started, about the summer?
I think there's been a lot of frustrations in the summer, if I'm being really truthful with you. I think that we lost Ross Barkley, and obviously you can't expect him to come down to championship level. We knew as soon as we were down that he would go with our sort of good graces, and we would thank him for giving us all the entertainment that he gave. There's a lot of Luton fans, including myself, of a certain age, that he's the best player I've ever seen put on a Luton shirt. So there are people of an older age that would disagree with that, but for me, he's the best player I've ever seen. And he also we've lost his mate that was next door to him that we had on loan in Sambi Lokonga. So the sort of the real heart of the team's been ripped from us, really. And then we lost Ogbene very, very late on, and he played a couple of games for us at the start of the season. It was that late, but we've struggled with regards to, in a number of ways, actually. We struggled in the transfer window. We were constantly getting sort of touted with certain players, and we never really got anything over the line. And it took until very late on for us to get a couple of players in, but they've either come to us injured, like Tom Kraus, who's a very highly rated player that's played for Germany at all the sort of age levels other than the full national side. He made his debut this weekend. We've bought another player who's not joining us until January. And we've the main sort of expenditure was Mark McGuinness at centre back, because I think that we were really quite worried about losing Ted and Mengi. Now, Ted and Mengi was being sort of touted around various clubs, like Torino, for example, over in Italy, and I wonder if it was just the fact that we were able to hold out for a fee for probably the first time in our history, actually, because we've always been a selling club, but that Premier League money is given us a little bit of a defence against losing our best players, the likes of Tahith Chong as well. So we've got, like you say, some very good Championship players. The problem what we've got is that we seem to have a philosophy and a way of playing that we could do with Ross Barkley. Ross Barkley's gone, and it's not quite clicking at the minute. So we got our backsides handed to us against Burnley in the opening game of the season. That was a real eye opener, and you're kind of looking at the transfer window still being open at that time, thinking, well, come on, do something. You're sort of looking at the board and sort of prodding them, thinking, come on, like back Rob Edwards. You've just given him a lengthy new deal in the summer. Back him, give him what he needs. And that centre midfielder hasn't really come. We got Shandon Baptiste as well from Brentford, and he's a tidy player, but he's got a terrible injury record and he's already injured. And then when you add that to our injury list that we had as a hangover from the Premier League, I mean, our back line in the first few weeks was absolutely decimated. And now you look at it, it's the place where we're best set. So it's been a weird one. And like you say, it's been a really difficult start to the season. I think that hopes of going straight back up have been thoroughly sort of quashed because of just the way that we've been doing it. We've got 2 wins under our belt, but neither of them were convincing in any way, shape, or form. So I'm sitting here, 2 wins on the bounce, really nervous about Friday night, but also not entirely convinced about how we're going to play, what we're going to set up like, and how we're going to do it. It's a weird time to be winning 2 games and still be quite upset about it in a roundabout way.
Well, since you say you're not quite sure how you're going to set up, we'll take that one off first. I must confess I've not watched a single minute of Luton live, only sort of highlights. You've obviously got a big man up front. Is that is it a play through the middle, hit the big man when you can, or is it how are you playing this season? Obviously, you're not best impressed with it, but what's the
I think
riding tactic?
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest conundrums that the fans are trying to answer, because we set up with a back 3 with 2 wing backs, which is usually Alfie Doughty, and I think at the moment that the guy that's likely to play just purely because of pace and fitness is Raul Walters, who was another one of our summer signings from Arsenal. So we try to utilize the wings, and we try to make sure that we get down the flanks and we whip balls in. But the last couple of games we've played with Elijah Adebayo up front on his own, rather than having Carlton Morris as a sort of playmate up the top. That's meant that we've had the likes of Jordan Clark and Tahith Chong playing behind Adebayo, almost as like inverted wingers, but also looking to get the knockdowns from Adebayo. And at the moment, the worrying thing is the ball just doesn't seem to stick to Adebayo. He's dangerous. You've mentioned it before when we've spoken about he is a danger, but the reality of it is that he's not in great form. He's yet to find the back of the net. And what's really frustrating is that because we're using Chong and Clark as people to sort of feed off of Adebayo, but they look a little bit confused because they look like that if they go out wide, they'll get in the way of Doughty and Walters. So there's confusion in and amongst the way that we're playing. And I think that, again, I mentioned Ross Barkley. He was like the conductor on the pitch, and you could see his experience in the way that he spoke to people, and he was directing them as to where to go. We just haven't got that yet, and I'm hopeful, like every football fan is, that at some point something's going to click and something's going to be like, right, okay, this is what works. This is how it's going to be successful moving forward. But like I say, our scores and our performances are flattering to deceive. And Sheffield Wednesday fans, if there's anyone watching that, they'll be absolutely gutted about the fact that they lost to us at the weekend, and they'll blame a very poor refereeing performance in general, because by all accounts it seems like Carlton Morris's winner, it sort of grazed off of his arm, and if it was a VAR league, it would have ended up as a draw at best. So yeah, it's a tricky time for me to be speaking to you, Ben, because if you spoke to me a few weeks ago, I would have been absolutely buzzing and chomping at the bit to get back up towards the Premier League. But the reality of it is that I just want to see us start playing well to see where we're actually at.
I'm doing my best not to smile. As it's music to my ears. Let's hope it doesn't click by Friday. No offense. So yeah, what's your prediction for the? I've given you mine on your show. What's your prediction for the weekend?
Yeah, you did. I mean, I've been typically optimistic. I think that we all try to be, don't we, with our own. I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet. I think that, like I mentioned to you before, the atmosphere under the lights at home park will mean that you'll suck a goal in. I've put us down to scrape a 2-1 because, like I said, that's what happened at the weekend, and I'd like to think that we've got players in our team that can produce a moment of magic that can provide those goals to get us to get two on the score sheet. But yeah, I'm saying that through hope rather than expectation.
Yeah, well, it's very similar to my prediction. So I do think there'll be goals. I do think Sky will get their money's worth. You're coming down to sample the delights of Motley and the surrounding air environs. I hear, which you're already familiar with. You were telling me.
Yeah. So I spent 4 years down in Plymouth as a student. So I'm well aware. I was student down on sort of Ebrington Street and going going along to. I'm really looking forward to getting a Jake's after the game. I'm looking forward to those disgustingly oversized baguettes and with melted cheese on top. So yeah, I've got some happy memories of Plymouth. I met my wife down there, so I'm really looking forward to being back down there and experiencing, because I went to a few games whilst I was a student down there just because I just missed football. As much as I'm a Luton fan, I absolutely love football, and yeah, it felt like you were sponsored specifically for me because I'm a big fat guy, and you were sponsored by Ginsters at that particular stage. So I enjoyed going to home park, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it's changed. It has even for the Green Army. It's been a lot of changes in recent years, so should be novel. It's even a fan zone, whereas before, you either got into the Britannia, or it was nothing. It was Mutley and Walk, where they've got a little bit of a fan zone now. So it's quite welcoming away fans. If you want to get in and have a laugh, then yeah, please feel free. But yeah, I hope you have a nice time. If it's nice and sunny, then if you're staying the day before or the day after at the Barbican, will be yeah, for a few beers or something. But hopefully, safe travels. And thanks for your time coming on.
No
And
worries.
yeah, I look forward to catching up with you maybe later in the season.
Yeah, top man, Bang. Thank you. Yeah, I'm staying the day after. So if we win, I'll be on the Barbican having fun, and if not, I'll be tucked up somewhere quiet. So, but yeah, thank you for having me on, Ben. I appreciate it.
Cheers, mate.